You may have heard the phrase emotional labor or unpaid domestic labor, which is meant to describe a situation where one partner in a relationship, yes, usually the wife, feels like she does an unfair amount of work around the house. And I wanted to make this video basically just to ask what my audience may have experienced with regard to this, because, to be honest, I kind of worry about this arising in my own life in the future. I'm only 25, never married, who knows? But also because I think I have another way of looking at what people are calling emotional labor, which is perhaps more accurate than the way it's described in articles like this one. While I think that situations like these do happen and that many of these complaints are legitimate, it seems to me that oftentimes neither person's way of doing things is right, per se, just different. It seems to me that there is a range of household order that most people would consider acceptable. That is to say, a range in which a marriage counselor or just your friends and family would not definitively say, you're a slob or you need to chill out. The lower limit of this range would be a commonly agreed upon, basic sanitation, like you don't throw trash on the floor, you don't leave food out overnight, and the upper limit would be some commonly agreed on points of diminishing returns. I mean, like, I dusted the keyholes or something. Wow, what an improvement, totally worth the effort. It also seems to me that some of these claims of emotional labor may partially stem from the fact, okay, stereotype, whatever, that men and women typically live at different locations within the acceptable range of household order, with neither location being necessarily wrong, within reasonable limits, of course, as I mentioned. I think the conflict over what is being called emotional labor really just boils down to this. If you happen to desire more order than your partner, then you will naturally feel the need to pick up the slack, as you would call it. But what you call picking up the slack, your partner may call fussing about every little thing, and they may not care if you stop doing it. It seems to me that the emotional part of emotional labor is the fact that the thing itself bothers you, and that it bothers you that it doesn't bother your partner. How do you think this is okay? I mean, what the fuck is wrong with you? And this is regardless of whether or not most people would say it's appropriate to be bothered by that thing in the first place. E.g., you didn't iron your underwear? What's wrong with you? The author of this article says, at one point, I don't want to micromanage housework. I want a partner with equal initiative. Well, depending on what you do that he doesn't do, this could mean anything from, I want a partner who doesn't throw trash on the freaking floor, to, I want a partner who also likes to fuss about the little things. Join me all the way out here on the diminishing returns graph. And that is something that I worry about, partially because I may end up being that person myself. I mean, look at this. Look at all these bins. I'm a fucking psycho. So, kind of as I said, it seems like the phrase emotional labor is often just describing stuff that doesn't really matter to your partner, and which your partner wouldn't mind if you neglected as well. The emotional part of it seems to just be the fact that it bothers you, and that you feel compelled to, as you would put it, pick up the slack, or as your partner would put it, fuss about every little thing. I think we all just have to accept the fact that one partner will always be further up the diminishing returns graph, and thus will have the option of looking down on the other person for not living up to their standards. If we don't accept this, then no two people will ever get along. It's kind of like those YouTubers who would say, I won't debate someone with fewer subscribers than me. Well, great, if that's how you think it should be, then no one will ever debate unless they have identical subscriber counts. And no married couple will ever be happy unless both partners have identical household standards. In both scenarios, you're going to have to talk and compromise. Try to help with the things that bother your partner, or try not to worry so much about the things that don't bother your partner. And if that gap is too broad to bridge, you might just not be right for each other. Anyway, that's just kind of what I suspect is partially going on here. It's certainly not the whole story. I'm really just interested to hear what my audience has to say if they've had experiences like this in their own lives, or if this idea I've constructed is completely off base and completely unrelated to the real world.